Welcome to today's webinar with the title PCBs in Würth Elektronik Quality from Asia. The speakers of today's webinar are Mr. Alexander Görz, Commercial Head of Asia Production, and Mr. Manuel Meyerhofer, Technical Head of Asia Production. And now I wish you a lot of fun and new information.
Thank you very much, Andreas, and also very warm welcome from our side. We highly appreciate that you have the time and the interest to follow us today and get into action. First of all, we would like to introduce the agenda of today's webinar. First of all, we would like to say some words about Würth Elektronik Asia Production and the history behind. We show the organization chart, the quality and logistic process, and the risk minimization, as well as the support for the optimization of the PCB designs. On my left hand, there is Manuel Meyerhofer. Welcome also.
Good morning, good afternoon to everyone, or even good evening to our guests from China. I'm Manuel Meyerhofer, technical responsibility for the whole Asia production.
Thank you. Manuel and me, we are since 2.5 years responsible to develop the Asia production step by step. And we would like to show you now some numbers. Asia Production was founded 8 years ago and is a direct daughter company of the big Würth Elektronik Circuit Board Technology Group. And Asia Production was founded to be an addition for the existing portfolio. This means we are the ones which are able to provide easy technologies from 2-layer up to multi-layer HDI, even till flex and rigid flex PCBs, from small amount till huge amount in China. And in last year, we made 40 million euro turnover with 56 people, 56 employees, and 20 of those are working together with us in Germany at the headquarters, and the other ones are placed directly in China, part-wise in the supplier's plants, but also in the office there and in the laboratory. In summary, we have 10 suppliers and strategic partners with 18 plants. So this means we have huge resources and capacities from small up to very, very big. This is an, let's say, simple view about the organization chart of Asia Production. You can see that my colleague Manuel and me, we are directly reporting to the CEO of Würth Elektronik Group. This means Asia Production has a very important standing inside this Würth Elektronik Group. We should be the growing motor, and so we are also this year. Combined to last year, we are growing 16% already, so we are on the right way. We have some very important departments inside Asia Production. Number 1 is engineering, the second one is quality, third is logistics, fourth is purchasing and sourcing, and the fifth one is sales. And every of these departments is also available in China. Means we have a very flat and simple organization. The teams are working in a very close contact, and in summary, we can support with a very good speed and quality. I would like to ask you now something, and this leads us to the first question in this webinar. We would like to ask you, how high or how big is your purchasing volume in PCBs? Is it from 0 till 1 million? Is it bigger or even bigger than 15 million euro. So please send us your information. So 30% already sent the answer. Now it's 50%. And we can see a few are still missing. Okay. Now it's 60%, 70. Now let's have a look at the result. And we see that a lot of participants of today's webinar are purchasing PCBs up to 1 million and also even higher. So this means this is a very, very good fit to our growing and customer strategy. We would now like to go on the next slide. This is why are we purchasing PCBs in China. China is from the beginning on the biggest player in PCB business. They have a lot of raw materials and also a big know-how about the last 20-30 years in PCB development. The government there is doing permanently huge investments into this technology to grow the business. And for Würth Elektronik, it means that we can participate or have a good impact from the daughter company, which is called WÜRTH ISOS. They are since more than 25 years already in China. So we could use their knowledge, and there's a way to find some stable suppliers in China. And this led us to the point that we only needed around about 2 years to build this up in China instead of, let's say, 5 years or whatever. So we've been very fast there in China. And so China is currently not only the low-cost country anymore. From our perspective, it's the best cost country, means you will get the best PCBs for the best price. So this is a perfect fit from our side. I would like now to ask you the second question, please. It is, how are the shares of your current purchasing volume? Means, how much do you already purchase in Asia? We see that the first results are already there. Step by step, it's now 30%. Now we are waiting for another answers. Some more, 55%. Okay. Now I would say let's have a look at the result again, please. And we see that it's really interesting that most of the participants are purchasing at least 30% already in Asia. And Manuel and me, as well as the Würth Elektronik Group, are quite sure that this is not only a trend, it's growing more and more, this business in Asia, in China. And therefore, it's very urgent, necessary that we take care for the quality and so on. And how we do this will now Manuel present you.
Thanks, Alex. I want to tell you some words about the most important things about the PCB manufacturer. It's the quality, to provide all technologies to you. As Alex mentioned, we're using 10 manufacturers with in total having 18 production plants, and this ensures us to deliver standard PCBs, double-sided PCB, complex high-layer PCBs, to HDI structures or heavy copper and high-frequency boards. and also rigid flex printed boards from China. Why we using 10 partners in China? It's easy because we're running a dual sourcing strategy. That means for every technology or price range, according to our risk management program, we're having 2 suppliers. That means if any problem occurs with one manufacturing partner, means if there is a fire or another natural disaster, we faced that some years ago in Germany even, we all the time have the option of continuing to produce those products at another plant or at the factory of another partner. In order to be able to deliver those PCBs in the common and usual Würth quality, we place our main focus on the supplier qualification, supplier management, and of course the continuous improvement of the production with our strategic partnerships. For this purpose, we have a team of 2 employees for every partner, 1 quality assurance engineer for each supplier who tracks, audits, and coordinates the supplier performance. And at the same time, we're having a so-called resident engineer who's permanently at the supplier's plant. This means this guy is on our Würth payroll. He takes over the process control of the production and carries out subsequent tests according to IPC A600 and of course your customer specification. That means this guy is really 5 days a week, 5 to 7 days a week in our partner's manufacturing site. All of our partners are of course certified to the international certification standards, and depending to your requirements, we of course have also partners who have for example, the ISO 13485 for medical technologies, or even airspace, like the ISO 9100 or the American NetCap. Besides that, of course, environmental protection is of great importance in our Würth Group's corporate philosophy. Therefore, this is an absolute knockout criterion. If one of our partners does not have like the ISO 14001 certificate. In China itself, this topic is also becoming increasingly important. This is how companies that do not meet the criteria and the environmental requirements, which are, by the way, a little bit stricter often, like they are in Germany. That means that the government simply closes them if they not comply to those requirements. And this is also a reason why a lot of manufacturing sites moving out of Shenzhen, where it all started, they're now moving to new separate industrial zones to make, let me say, Shenzhen a little bit greener, and to make Shenzhen as a research and development capital, not for production anymore. As previously mentioned, we have specified that all of our suppliers need to comply according ISO 9001, and even greater have the IATF 6949 certificate. This is a no-go criteria. That means not necessarily that all of our suppliers are approved by us to produce automotive parts, but we see that the IATF 6949 is a higher and greater international standard, and so-called automotive core tools will be run by these suppliers, like the statistical process control, the FMEA, AT process, etc., etc. If you want to buy your printed circuit boards in China by yourself, it will for sure become a problem if you do not do a clear plan supplier qualification and evaluation. And this is why we invest our most efforts in this process. We have split this process in 5 steps, which I want to explain you a little bit clearer now. This is a sourcing process at first. We have the approval phase, we have the initial phase, the serial phase, and in the end, the after sales phase. In the so-called sourcing phase, we're working with a supplier long list, the so-called supplier long list, where we have created by ourselves. We have more than 700 potential PCB partners on this list. It's a very detailed list, and we constantly maintain it. All technologies, needs, opportunities, the price categories, the certifications, logistic solutions, UL, and so on is listed in this list, and therefore we have the possibility to source according our requirements. From this list, we create a so-called short list, and out of this short list, we usually choose about 4 to 6 suppliers where we go to and have a first visit. We carry out a VDA 6.3 potential analysis and gain a first impression of those manufacturers. It's very important that we not only have a small visit there, we're really using the German automotive standard VDA 6.3. After completing this step, 2 of a maximum 3 manufacturers remain. In the next step, we're going to start the approval process. 2 to the 3 manufacturers are now audited in a minimum 3-day audit, and also according to the VDA 6.3 standard. In addition to our specialty trained Chinese VDA 6.3 auditors, also German specialists always take part in the initial audit. If the result of these audits have been positive, the supplier now produces first samples for us. We take in these samples and test them according the IPC standards, and check them in our Chinese laboratory, so-called the QDC, Quality Design Center. And furthermore, we also test them in our German plants. If everything is also positive here, an engineer will always be on site from now on. The next step, we're starting the so-called initial production phase. Small batches are ordered, and our residential engineers conduct the quality assurance procedures. All KPIs are like the scrap rate, yield rate are tracked through interfaces in our system. We have an update every 6 hours. That means we're looking into, in real time into the system of our suppliers and can track the supplier performance, so-called live. That means if, for example, in drilling process, if we start with 100 PCBs and have an outcome of only 50 PCBs, we immediately get an alarming system, and our engineers can go into this process and have a deeper look. Parallelly, we're using our internal supplier management tool to track the lead time and, of course, the OTD and the quantity level. At this stage, we're talking about roughly 6 months in the whole process. After these 6 months, more or less, we're starting our serial production phase. That means the supply is now officially approved. And in this serial production, of course, our residential engineer checks all new PCBs in accordance with our quality standards, and of course also the IPC standards according to the ISO 2589 AQL level 2 and your customer specifications. Parallelly, of course, samples are still carried out and are finally checked always in our Longgang office or lab, and parallelly also in Germany. That gives us the opportunity to check if the quality of the boards is today still the same quality as it was like 2 months ago. Finally, we're coming into the after sales phase. We have a continuous monitoring of the total performance of each supplier. We have a monthly meeting with every supplier, create any measures if necessary, and we have quarterly meetings with the top management of the suppliers. We have a rating, supplier rating, and of course in this top management meeting, we need to define the right measure to come back to best performance as we require it. If something happens, we will of course use always 8D systematic. For the customer, it's very important that you don't need to deal with any cultural or language barriers. That means you always have a contact window which is sitting here in Germany and speaks fluently English and of course also German. During the after sales phase, of course, we're running annual VDA 6.3 audit again. Additionally, every month, roughly, we're running a one-day so-called mini audit, which can be planned or event related. And in this mini audit, we monitor and audit only one specific process step. Here we're looking what can be improved, but most important, we're also looking what is running really well. And then we record this in our so-called knowledge database and use those informations for our next audit at another supplier site to push him and, of course, increase his technical and quality level. Our suppliers really appreciate this because they don't see only a normal customer in Würth Elektronik. They see us as a strategic partner to bring them to a higher level, because we bring many years of PCB manufacturing experience from our German plants. And so we conduct regular workshops, exchange programs, also between our Chinese friends and the German plants. As I promised before, I want to talk a little bit about our so-called QDCs, our Quality Design Center. It's a really outstanding thing in southern China. We're sharing the building in the middle of the picture with a green roof together with our sister company of ISOS. We're having 3 floors. In a month, we're having 4 floors even. We're doing 150 reliability tests per year and also 1,300 incoming quality inspection in this laboratory. This lab is one of the most and nicest and modernest labs you can find in southern China. And the interesting thing is that most of those machines parallelly be run in Germany. And therefore, we have one big system to control the German and the Chinese lab in total. I want to give back the word to Alex.
Thank you, Manuel. One thing we realized, of course, in the past, but also now even more, while the COVID-19 situation, we have our own warehouse in Germany, which was built in 2017, so quite young. And currently we are having 480 pallet shelves there. So still a little bit free space for your PCBs. And the big advantage is that we are less dependent from the shipping and the logistic situation currently. We have a lot of PCBs from our customers here in our warehouse. So it means if you need them, you will get them within 24 hours in the German-speaking areas and within 48 hours nearly worldwide, we can say. There is another question, and this is the last question for today from our side. How has COVID-19 changed your purchasing strategy? Is it unchanged, or will you purchase more PCBs at the European market again, or do you even see the next step towards Asia even faster, because the price pressure is taking place currently also due to Corona? So we now have 30% of answers, maybe a few more, please, and we are quite excited to receive your answers now. It's 50% answers now, maybe a few more. And if not, we highly appreciate your feedback so far. Maybe 5 seconds. Okay, thank you very much. So now we're gonna have a look at the answers. And this is what we honestly expected, and what we also hear from our customers, that most of you will not change your purchasing behavior. Some will purchase more in European productions, and only a few see the possibilities or the pressure to go to Asia even more. And this really matches very good to our experiences we made in the last months. So the next topic is, we would warmly invite you to send us more and more information about your ideas or plans. Let's say, in case that you are now currently developing from technical side some PCBs. If you are interested, you can send us the information. We will give you feedback for free, of course. Maybe we can find some points where we can save you directly money. We are talking about different materials, as well as solder mask, routing, or the panel use. So just let us know where we can support, and we highly will appreciate your feedback about this. In summary, here are the points where we think, or we are quite sure that that's the difference to other just traders. We are on site in Asia as well as in Germany with a very strong and big team. We are in each plant, and for us, the customer is always in focus. So this means with our sales team also in the field, we have a very, very close contact to the customers, so we can optimize the interfaces. We are using every day the quality design center in China, as well as the strength of the Würth group when it comes to insurance questions, let's say something like this. We are a very strong partner for you. And last but not least, for us, a very, very important point is that we do have the technology know-how. So we know how to build PCBs. At least 50% of our existing team members are from the German plants. And so we know how to build PCBs, how to increase the quality, how to decrease the pricing, and of course, how to lead the manufacturers in China directly.